Okay, this is our year-end review for our 7th and 8th graders homeschool curriculum 2020 through 2021. So we'll just go over our very favorite curriculum today. We had a lot of curriculum that we did. So we'll start with language arts. Very favorite, Essentials in Writing. They did the entire number 6 booklet through number 7 this year as well. So absolutely love this. I don't think that we could look for anything else that would be better. It's just a fantastic way to do grammar and writing. So we highly recommend this. Number 6 has an entire half that is just grammar. So if your student needs a real grammar review, we thought number 6 was fantastic for that. Although there's been more grammar in number 7 than what we originally thought. So it's been great for that too. But highly recommend this one. It's a really great resource for language arts. Also, we really like this for our spelling words this year. It's been great, so definitely recommend that. We had a lot of fun reading Around the World in 80 Days. So we got this book and read it all together and then watched the movie, so that was really fun. And then we got the Complete Dickens, which is great. They're about 30 pages long, so you can read through a lot of Dickens' works, and we probably got about halfway through that this year. There are definitely some that I like more than others, but I have a lot more appreciation for Dickens now than I used to, now that we've read a lot more of his works. As you can see here in the back, we had the whole set of The Wizard of Oz that my 7th grader read through the entire thing. My 8th grader probably read 4 or 5 of these ones this year, and then they read a lot of other books as well. But this was one of our main readers that we got for this year. So that's language arts. We did a lot of other things, but those are our favorites. So if you're looking for things that we highly recommend, those are on the list. For history, we did The Story of the World. We did some other things as well. I was worried Story of the World would not be in depth enough for what we wanted, but the more that we went through it, the more I liked it. I think it's a fantastic program. Love the book on CD, and I would definitely recommend getting the activity book. This is part of what made it so great. You go in and they give you all of these fun activities that you can do to really feel like you're part of the history. You kind of get a connection with what you're learning about. And then of course, if you really want to get into it, they have review questions, they have tests, they have additional reading here and other things that you can do to really get into it. We just had a lot of fun. We got through Story of the World 1 and 2 and started on number 3 this year. And if we had done it more in depth, obviously we would have taken a little more time to do that. But we were really happy with what we did. I was amazed actually with how much of the history actually stuck with my kids, because we were doing the activities at the same time we were listening to the CD, and they still learned a lot and had a really great time doing it. So one of the things I do recommend if you're going to do this one is to get yourself some sort of a craft kit on hand, so that you can jump in and just do a lot of these activities and not have to pre-plan for some of them. Now, there's a lot that you do have to pre-plan for if you really want them to work well, but we made it work. We would just pick the ones that we had the right stuff for and do those activities. And then halfway through, we decided to start doing geography along with it. So as we were learning about pretty much all of number 2 is centered around Europe. And so we learned all of the countries in Europe, and then we learned a lot of the countries in Asia as well. I got a lot of different resources for geography. My very, very favorite actually was just to go on Etsy and print off blank maps and just have us go through and fill in the names of the countries. I feel like that was the best for actually memorizing the countries, but also LizardPoint.com online is a geography quiz site, and you can do quizzing online, and that is free and it's so fun. So we did that, but I also feel like writing down the actual names, you have to pull it out of your head instead of just seeing the name and trying to figure out where it is. So both of those together were a really great way for us to memorize those. And then I really like this National Geographic one. I just feel like it's bright, it's easy to see the countries that you're looking for. It's got a lot of other things in there as well, but it's a little out of date. We got one that was a little too old, so we had some other ones that were more in date. But as far as an atlas, I would definitely recommend getting the updated version of the National Geographic Atlas to have on hand as well. So that was geography and history, and then we've done literature, language arts. So we'll talk about health. This was my favorite. We did 3 different health things this year, but this was definitely my very favorite book. I love how it teaches kids to think positively, how to retrain their brain to look on the bright side of things. And I feel like every kid needs this. So I absolutely love it. It's got coloring in it, which is super fun. Write down your feelings. Yeah, just a really great book. Super, super fun and highly recommended. And then let's go into math. So for math this year, we did Matthew C. Geometry, and I love that Matthew C. has the DVD instruction. I think that is one of the things that makes it a great program, because you have someone else explaining the concept to your child, and then, you know, they still had a couple times where they didn't quite understand the concept, and so we would go on YouTube and would find someone else who could explain it in a different way to give them a broader understanding, a better understanding of the concept. But they did really well in this program, and Matthew C. is just a really great math program. So that was our favorite of their different math curriculums. And then for money management, believe it or not, this book was my favorite book we read. We actually read 4 different money management books. We did the online or DVD course with Rachel Cruz, so Dave Ramsey's daughter, and that was really fun too. But I honestly like this book even better, and it was only $6. So I just feel like this is a really fun read. It's not boring to read. It's actually quite interesting, and just doing a chapter a day, we were able to get through this pretty quickly. And so it goes over a lot of the basic concepts that you need for managing your money. So that was really great. And then we got these little budget books, and we would go through every week, and the kids would write down, you know, we gave them a budget every week, and they had to write down how much they're paying for rent, how much they were paying for utilities, savings, education, charity, all of the different things that we wanted them to learn that they needed to put money into as they earned money. And so they would write that down in here, and then they would get a certain fund for the week to go towards snacks. So they had a budget that they had to pay in the beginning for their meals, so their meals were covered. I didn't want them to spend so much money they couldn't afford to eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So they would purchase their breakfast, lunch, or dinner at the beginning of the week, and then they had snack money. And if they ate less snacks, then they got to keep the money at the end of the week in real money, because I figured if they're not eating the snacks, I'm not paying the money to buy the snacks, so it's the same difference, and it teaches them that it does cost to eat snacks. So that was really, really good for them. They had a lot of weeks where they barely spent anything on snacks, so that they would have more money to buy fun stuff at the end of the week. So this was a real hit. We had this little jar, and whenever they would buy a snack, they'd put money into the jar, and this is just fake money. It looks really real, but it's not. So they would just have this fake money that they could use, put in the jar, and purchase their snacks. So that was a really success, I think, in the year. They learned a lot about what things actually cost. And then going on to chemistry, we had a good time with chemistry this year. And I think in this end of year review, this is probably the one that's the most different from the beginning of the year, what I said, as far as what I thought was going to be my favorite. Apologia ended up not being my style, partly because their book on CD is so choppy. If they had just done a read of the entire chapter without breaking it up for each section, then I think it would have been nice to listen to, but it just wasn't. So I do not recommend their book on CD. Their worksheet booklet is actually fantastic. And their book is pretty fun, but I just think these other ones were just so much better. So this one, as I said in my beginning of the year video, after we had done most of this, it covers a lot of really important concepts, but it doesn't give you a lot of information to really understand it if you don't have a background in chemistry. So this one is a fantastic book if you can supplement it with other things. So it ended up being actually our very favorite one of the year, because when we were learning that concept, what we'd do is we would do the reading, we would do an experiment, and then we would go on YouTube and find something that helped explain it in more detail so we could learn the concept. So if you're willing to put in the work to add to this curriculum, I think this ended up being our very favorite, and it was really a great curriculum. We also really enjoyed these two. So part of what we love are having the periodic table here in the front, but they also had a really good explanation for things as you went through. Pretty easy. We actually read through, I think, this entire one. It's pretty small. I think less than a month we were finished with this book. And then this number 2 is a little harder concepts for my 7th and 8th grader because it is a high school level, but they got most of it. They think it's really fun to understand that there are p orbitals and hybrids, and they were able to learn a lot of those concepts. So that's really great. We actually have only gotten halfway through this book because we did this whole book. We did maybe a third of Apologia before we stopped doing that, and we did a couple of other smaller ones. So we can continue with this one at a later date. I'm not sure chemistry is what we're going to be doing next year. I think we're going to move on to earth science, but highly recommend both of these and recommend this one. And then to go along with that, we really love DIY Sci on Amazon Prime, as well as our 2 favorite songs that we found on YouTube. The periodic table song. My 7th grader got really into it and memorized most of it, can sing a good portion of the elements to you, and really got excited about the periodic table from that song. So that was really great. And then the Noble Gases song, we just think is super fun. So highly recommend looking up both of those songs and listening to them on YouTube. That was mostly what we did with chemistry. Did a lot of experiments from these books, as well as doing experiments that we saw in DIY Sci. So that was really great. And then also we love these molecule kits. Super fun. We were able to go in and make sucrose and a bunch of other molecules as we learned about them. So that was really fun. And then it was really nice as well to have our science kit put together at the beginning of the year so we could just grab stuff whenever we were ready. Those are our favorites. So those are the ones that we would without a doubt recommend. All of those curriculum that we showed you today, and the other things that we did were also really great, but these are the ones that were really our favorites.